Hey guys, okay, today we're going to be continuing in the engineering fundamentals book, and our focus in this unit is engineering design. So, going through how an engineer goes from an idea to actually creating the prototypes and start testing these products. So, the objectives for this entire unit, we're going to define exactly what engineering design is. And then we're going to spend a large amount of time describing the steps of the engineering design process. Then we're going to explain how to define a problem and its constraints so we'll know exactly what the issue that we're solving is and what are the boundaries that we have to stay within. So we went over constraints and trade-offs before, so we're going to be talking about how to actually use them in your design. Then we are going to identify various methods of ideation. So that's how you come up with ideas. So a lot of times people won't come to you directly with their problems. You need to be able to think about how to come up with ideas, be able to look out into the world with a set of goggles that allows you to see the issues and problems that people are having pertaining to your company and your job, and how you can fix them. Then we're going to summarize the processes of creating and testing those design solutions. Explain how to communicate that final design solution to management, manufacturers, the customers, and then describe the purpose of an engineering notebook, which is, we'll go into more details, but it's similar to having a journal for your thought process, for the calculations that you go through and whatnot. So, the engineering design is the creative application of technology. So, it's when the technology already exists and you find a creative way to use that technology to solve a particular problem for yourself, for your custom company, which means that you're solving it for your customers. For engineering design, you can either design systems, and that's when we were talking about like at the power plants here in Houston, in Pasadena and whatnot. You can design those systems to perform better, as pulling out the resources in the oil, designing products. We've discussed that at length when we're talking about the designing the iPhones, the phones, the computers, and all of that. Designing a process to solve a problem. So it might not even be physical. You might just be designing a process. And a lot of time this is done with manufacturing engineers, where they design the process for how people will move, how the manufacturing facility is laid out, so that everything can move efficiently. Teamwork. So whenever you're doing any kind of design, you're going to be working with a team, because in order to grow, you can't do every aspect of the project yourself. So you're going to have to work together with other people to solve the problem. And as I said before, you might be the designer, but you have to work with, management and sales to get it out there. And you have to be able to communicate or work with someone who's a part of the manufacturing team. A big part of that process is making sure that you have respect for your colleagues, that you know how to communicate well. You are going to have disagreements, you're going to have arguments, but as you're working on the designs and working on, when we go back to the classroom, building some of these robotics projects, you're going to have to understand how to work well with your teammates. Be able to recognize when there's a problem, and commit to going all the way to the end and finishing out whatever project you're working on with your team. Teamwork skills are extremely important to employers, because, as I said, once you get into the real world, you'll be working with a team, regardless of what your field of study will be. We've gone over ethics a couple of times, so just making sure that you're conducting yourself in an ethical way. That goes for all parts of your design. not designing something where in your head you're saying, okay, the customer can solve this when they get to this problem, or when once I sell it, it's not my problem. It's things like that that leads to safety issues, people not trusting your company, not trusting your work. And one of the best ways to do it is just to follow the accepted standards that your particular organizations have come up with, whether it's your company or, like we said, the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, IEEE, where they've created standards for electrical engineers to follow. And then the other one is just working only in your area of expertise, meaning that just because you have a mechanical engineering degree, not putting on your resume that you can also do civil engineers and apply for civil engineering jobs. So the engineering design process guides people from the identification of the problem all the way to designing the actual solution. It's used by every engineer. They might not go exactly step by step, but in all processes, you have to you follow this process. And then reworking previous steps is common. So you might identify the problem and you start working your way through it. And as you get closer to it, you might find out that, okay, we thought this was the problem, but the real problem is this. So you may have to start all the way back at the beginning, or as you're working through something, you might analyze, one of the solutions that you've created and have to go back and design a different one because that solution may have created another problem. So the design process is defining the problem. That's the first part. You can't do any other step if you don't even know what problem you're trying to solve. Then you come up with a bunch of different ideas. This is the brainstorming phase of how you can solve that problem. Then you pick one or two of those solutions, those ideas, and you start trying to create a solution based on that idea that solves that problem. Then you start testing and analyzing that solution. So this is the big one. So once you get to step 4, you may realize that what you created in step 3 doesn't work. So you might be improving what you did in step 3, or you might have to scrap the entire idea and go all the way back to 2 and pick another one of those ideas and go back up to 3 and 4. That's why I said you might be reworking those solutions. Then you get to step 5, and that's where you have that final solution. That's the one that you're trying to sell to the world and to your customers. And then you have number 6 is design improvement. So if you're thinking about the iPhone, when iPhone first came out like 20 years ago, we had the final solution. But design improvement is the new iPhones that you get each and every year. So at this time, make sure that you answer the attendance question and answer the assignment questions as follows.